Hey, 12s, I need your help. We're getting close to 65,000 subscribers here on Seattle Seahawks today. Just over 250 away from reaching that next milestone. You may be wondering, why should I subscribe to the channel? Well, we are breaking down every single free agent signing. No signing is too big or too small. We're also bringing you daily news and rumors, sometimes 2 and 3 videos a day, live shows twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays. Breaking news, interactive Q&A mailbags, and more. Your one-stop shop for all things Seattle Seahawks throughout the entire offseason is Seattle Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/Seahawks TV. Tell all your friends, make sure they subscribe as well, and we'll get started with today's show. Welcome in to this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. We have a major salary cap update to get to for your Seattle Seahawks. I've been getting a ton of questions in the comments over the last couple of days. Hey, where do we stack up with the salary cap? Where are things holding up right now? And I have all the numbers. We'll go through them piece by piece, along with a big break that Seattle got with Uchenna Nwosu in just a moment. But let's just say, to kind of set the scene here for the folks, it's looking very good, much better than what it was just a couple of weeks ago. Let's start with Uchenna Nwosu. We got news on Wednesday of this week, Wednesday night, that Nwosu, according to reports, is taking a $9.2 million pay cut against the salary cap in 2025. That's a big deal for Seattle. Corbin Smith posting the following, saying, as noticed by Hawks blogger, I can confirm via source, Uchenna Nwosu took a pay cut to drop his cap hit from $21 million in 2025 to $11.8 million. Hashtag Seahawks with the update there. Now, you may be asking yourself, out of pure curiosity, why was he willing to take a pay cut and not take on all the money that Seattle owed him? Well, the truth of the matter is he had a choice. Either get caught or take a pay cut. And Nwosu was not going to have a big market demand when it came to the financial terms, so he was best off working with Seattle to renegotiate that deal and stay in town. And it's a win-win for both sides involved here. Uchenna Nwosu still gets to make a decent amount of money. Seattle gets to keep him around, another pass rusher into the fold, and they also get the flexibility now with the salary cap. So that's very good news. So how does the cap look like? Well, let's go to two different sources here. Let's start with the folks at OverTheCap.com. They are saying that Seattle has about $70.06 million in cap space. That sounds like quite a bit, folks. And we'll explain why that's not completely accurate here in just a moment. Spotrac says Seattle's number is $61.67 million. So if you average out the two, then you're looking at about $65.86 million in cap space. That sounds like a ton of money Seattle has to their disposal. But wait, folks, here's the kicker. Those numbers, the projections put out by Spotrac and OverTheCap.com, do not include the most recent free agent signings of Sam Darnold, Cooper Kupp, DeMarcus Lawrence, and among others here. So even though it seems like Seattle has a lot of money there, they don't really have that much. But they still have money to spend. More on that here in just a moment. Let's ask you guys our pinned comment today. How would you grade the Seahawks roster moves throughout free agency so far? A, B, C, D, or F? Whip out your red pen. You might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Get your votes in. Let us know what you think. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know what your grade is. So, here's the situation Seattle finds themselves in right now. Let's break this down piece by piece. So, currently, you have 63 players on your roster. And the number that you are trending towards, of course, is 90. As you can carry 90 players on your roster in training camp and in the preseason, then eventually that number gets down to 53. So, with that said, There are moves coming. There are more players on the way. You got 10 draft picks in 2025. And because of trades and all that, we don't know exactly if Seattle's going to bring in 10 players through the draft. They could bring in more. They could bring in less, depending on what they do with the picks. But for this exercise, let's just go ahead and go with what they have of that number. Say they draft 10 players. So that means you have about 17 roster spots that you still need to fill over the coming weeks ahead. And some of those could be undrafted free agents. We could see some trades. We could see some free agent signings. So with that in mind, since you have about $10 million on average that will go to your draft picks, that means that Seattle's usable cap space, when you factor in the projections that we have for Cooper Kupp and Sam Darnold and DeMarcus Lawrence, among others, that puts Seattle at about $20 to $25 million that they have to their disposal in what I call usable cap space at this point. So, as you can tell, we started this exercise with a number from OverTheCap that was $70 million, and then when we get down to the nitty-gritty, it's looking more like 20 to 25. But that's still a significant amount, comparatively speaking, to what we were before all of this began this offseason. And then you think about, John Schneider has said that they would like to be able to save some money for later on, whether that's a move in season with a free agent signing or a trade they make, that they would like to have some cap flexibility in case there's an injury or if there's a player that's underperforming, that they would like that chance to be able to improve that roster midseason if they need to. So now we take it a step further in this exercise. How much money does Seattle really have to spend? And I think it's somewhere in the $10 to $15 million range is what they have to sign at this point in time. I think they're going to want to stash away some money, potentially for down the line. And right now that gives you about 10 to 15 that you can go out there and spend. So what can you do with 10 to $15 million? Well, there's a couple things you can do. You could go for one big signing. You could go for 2 or 3 players at smaller contracts to kind of take up that $10 to $15 million potentially if you decide that that's the number that you want to spend. That's kind of the situation Seattle finds themselves in. So with that said, I only have one request right now of that money that's out there, of that 10 to 15 million we're talking about. O-lineman plays. John, I don't need you spending money at receiver right now. I don't need you spending money on edge rushers or defensive backs. I need this money to be spent on offensive linemen, whether it's one big signing or whether it's 2 or 3 guys. That's where I think the money needs to be paid to get this roster in the best shape it needs to be. Who's a player that Seattle should sign? Give us a name in the comments section that you would like to see, whether it's an offensive lineman or somebody else in Seattle when it's all said and done. Let me know in the comments section below. Got a great deal we're offering Hawks fans right now. Cooper Kupp, one of the newest members of your Seattle Seahawks, his jerseys are on sale now for a limited time at chatsports.com/cup. And we are offering free shipping. Yes, I heard that right, my friends. Free shipping available on Cooper Kupp jerseys. Look, it's about to warm up pretty soon. You're going to be hanging out with the fellas. Maybe it's a day on the lake. Maybe you're going out for drinks. Whatever it may be. You want to be rocking out with your Hawk out and supporting the homecoming of Cooper Kupp to the state of Washington. You're going to look like the coolest dude on the block when you're wearing a Cooper Kupp jersey. Get yours now. Take advantage of the free shipping as well. Chatsports.com/cup to get yours today. We also have other Seahawks merchandise for you to your liking at that same link. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. That's chatsports.com/cup to get yours today. As we enter the second wave of NFL free agency here, I think the coming days are crucial. What's different about the second wave compared to the first wave is that in the first wave of free agency, it is a rush. Everybody is trying to get deals done quickly, and you are just fighting for survival of those top players. And then you get into the second wave of free agency, and teams are a little more patient as they bring guys in for visits and physicals and all that. And now that we're starting to see these visits come to fruition, I think that the coming days ahead, we're going to start to see a pickup again of this next tier of talent start to move, and Seattle's got to capitalize and take advantage of this opportunity. It's real simple. Sign offensive linemen or bust. It's that simple, folks. If Seattle does not get the offensive linemen that they're looking for, if they don't better up this offensive line, then what was the point? Why did Seattle clear up all that cap space and bring in guys like Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp and others if they weren't going to improve this offensive line? It is make or break. It is do or die the coming days ahead to get this offensive line right. And as I've said before, and I'll continue to reiterate, the Seattle Seahawks can be a playoff team in 2025 if they improve the offensive line. That is the one thing holding this team back from being a playoff team this upcoming season is the offensive line. And they have an opportunity with free agency and the draft to get this thing right. Let's see what they do. Let's catch up to speed on where Seattle's at in free agency, the moves they've made to this point. Josh Jobe is back on a one-year, $2 million deal. Jaron Reed also returning, 3 years, $25 million. Ernest Jones, who was your top target in free agency, he makes his return on a 3-year, $33 million deal. Sam Darnold, your new starting quarterback, 3 years, $100.5 million, $55 guaranteed. And the details we got on that was more so kind of a one-year deal with a 2-year option. Josh Jones will be your backup swing tackle. MVS coming aboard along with DeMarcus Lawrence. And although he's older and he's had some health issues, only 18 of that is guaranteed of the $42 million deal. Josh Ross is back. Cody White also making a return. Cooper Kupp will be your new starting wideout 2 next to JSN on a 3-year, $45 million deal. And then some help at the corner spot with Shabar Jean-Charles coming over from New Orleans. For continuing Seahawks coverage, subscribe now to Seattle Seahawks Today. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next time right here on the channel.